Hey guys, and welcome to Coding with Josh. Today we're going to talk about ChatGPT. We're using it to write an Excel macro, and actually the best Excel macro, which take that with a grain of salt because it says right here that the best is kind of depends on the task that you want. And so it's kind of on the eyes of the beholder. But it gives us kind of an example macro to go off of where it changes the border, the font, and the background color. And we're going to go through this and we're going to see why it might have done it the way that it did, or what everything means. And then we're going to maybe rewrite this to be a little bit more optimized and kind of see where that takes us. So, anyway, that's the macro that it gave out to me. And so we're not going to use ChatGPT right now. We're going to put all of this into we're going to put this into Excel. I've already done this. So if we come over here, I have got this already for us in our VBA. If you don't know how to get there, go to your Excel, and then you've got to have the developer tab. So if you don't have that, there's probably a good video you could watch about how to get this tab. Go to developer, Visual Basic, and then insert new module if you need to, and that just gives you this page right here, and then you're going to paste everything in from there. Now, if you don't have the code, I will hopefully drop it in the description if it allows me to, but if not, maybe go ask ChatGPT for one, or follow along here, and I will go through the code for you. So let's go through it. It's first going to dim everything. That's kind of a funny word, but that just simply means to declare a variable. So when we're declaring things, we're actually like declaring them as certain types of objects or variables. The Excel has special properties for these words. So like this word range and this word long, some of them come up in like some blue lettering. They actually have certain properties attached to them, and we want to take advantage of that. It also is a good way so that you're not like overwriting a type. It kind of keeps your variable types the same, without switching it up throughout your code. So a lot of good macro writers, or like people that write macros, they're going to use dim just to make it a little bit more clean and clear. The other thing that it's doing, so then it goes to on error resume. So what does that mean? On error resume just means if the next line has an error, resume the next line after that, which is this on error go to zero, right? Kind of interesting. So it just goes to this, and then it's going to, if there is an error, then it's going to go to line 0, so back up top, and then go back through the program again, which is kind of like an endless loop if we keep having an error, which hopefully we don't. But I believe that that is what it's doing. If not, feel free to comment in the description, or sorry, in the comments below, and let me know what that's actually doing. But I believe it's just looping us back up top, and it's going to ask us that question again. This is kind of interesting. I didn't know that you could validate. So that I always learn little tips and tricks from ChatGPT when I do this, because I've been studying this for a little while now, and I've never seen that you can actually validate. So type 8, I had to look it up. It means it's looking for a range. So if what you plug in isn't a range, let's actually do it. If what I say is not a range, so I've got this, it brings up a prompt for me, and if I say like, yes, I am, it's like, hey, this reference is not valid. So, and then I can, it allows me to keep going through it until I give the right thing. And then I'm going to actually hit cancel for now. So I canceled it, and then it came down here. So what happens in this line of code? Because there was no error necessarily, even though I was putting in the wrong thing. The problem was it just didn't fill this range variable with anything. So like if I came down here, you can see that there's nothing logged out under my variables. So this range is still set to nothing, which nothing actually does hold like it doesn't hold a value, but it's, in fact, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but nothing is a data type. It's equivalent to, I believe it's equivalent to like being null or none in other programming languages, but it's basically a piece of memory where it's just absolutely nothing. I'm not giving you, I don't have anything attached to me right now. So it can check for that, and then it gives me the message box where it says nothing is selected, and then it ends the sub. So we quit the program. This next line, application, and I'm going to probably not go line by line on every one, but for this one, I feel like it's important. This one, I've noticed that it gives me these a lot, and it's just a better way to optimize your code. So that way, it's not your screen's not flickering when it's going through and like changing stuff, at such a fast rate. You just you turn off screen updating while it runs, and then at the bottom you'll see that we turn it back on. Um, right here. So, whoops, go ahead and open that back up. Okay, so the next piece is when we're actually going to loop through this range. So now it's saying, okay, we didn't cancel, so we do have something in the range, and this range is set up, or RNG is set up as a range, so I can loop through its cells. And that's one of the properties that is within a range. So I can drill it down and break through each cell and go actually cell by cell. So if I was to close this, you will see that it goes A, B, C, D. It goes left to right all the way to our last range. So if I said A through M, it's going to go, all the way to M, every cell, and then it's going to start going, and then it's going to go down, and then all the way to the right. So it goes just like you read, left to right, top to bottom. And that actually is one of the things we're going to talk about. Is you can imagine how slow that's going to go if we have a very big range, because it's going to go through every single cell all the way down, left to right and top to bottom. Okay, so what's it doing here? It's saying, so there's this with declaration, which is kind of nice, which allows me to say, I can call out what I'm dealing with once, and then with this kind of like dot notation that we've got here, I can say, dot font, and in the font, actually, sorry. So what we're calling out is the cell font, and the cell font has different properties attached to it. So it can, I can update name, size, or bold. And so I'm going to do all of those with it, with that cell font, and then I'm ending my with, and I'm done with that. And then I'm going to open up cell borders, which also has different properties, and I'm going to change those. So really a good way and a clear way to handle that. And then this is probably one of my favorite parts of the code, because I don't think a lot of people know about this unless they went through some kind of computer programming class. But there's this thing called mod, which stands for like modulo. And I'm not going to pretend like I know a ton about that, and I'm not a professor, and I didn't study this in depth, but what they teach you is that it's a good way to find like even or odd, or in this case, we're finding out if it's alternating. Because if the mod of two numbers, so we're saying, the mod of this, which is our row counter, so it's going to equal like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. Mod 2, so you put those two numbers together, you're kind of comparing the mod between a row counter and 2. If that equals 1, then that's an odd number, and every odd number is going to get this RGB color, right? And if not, then don't color it. So what it's saying is like basically every odd number we're going to color for every row, every odd row. And then here it's saying that because we're going each cell to the right until the end of our range, until the end of our range columns count. So like go till you hit O, and then I know that I've hit the end of my row, and it's going to go down to the next row. I need to increase that row counter. That's what it's doing there. And it just continues doing that all the way down. So let's see this in action. Okay. I'm going to hit play. Can I close this? Okay, actually, I'm not going to hit play yet. Let's see if I can like open this up in a different browser, and there we go. Okay, so I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to say A1 through L200. I think it goes to 201. Okay, we'll let that sit and work. Okay, and then it says cells formatted successfully, and you can see here that it really has done that all the way to the bottom of our table. So honestly, pretty cool tool. I wish it would have put in a header column for me and formatted that differently. And I could probably ask it to do that. That's the crazy part, is that you can actually ask it to, you're like, oh, can you do that with a header? And it'll rewrite it out without having to really prompt it the same way that you did the first time. You just can build off of your responses, which I think is pretty amazing. But Okay, so let's talk about if I go through, let's say I have another sheet, and let's say I wanted to do the same thing. So I'm going to run this. I'm going to say A1. I'm going to have to cancel this because it's going to be too big, but I'm going to say like through the very end to, I don't know, 20,000. Okay, we'd be sitting here for a while it completes. And you'll see, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. And it only made it through the first row, right? So we didn't even make it to the second row, and it seems like it actually almost did. Anyways, so you can tell this isn't as optimized as I might want. So let's go ahead and we're going to rewrite it, and we're going to see if we can do it better than ChatGPT can. So let's see. Okay. Okay, one thing I like that I'd like better is I actually don't want to do this with a input box. So let's have one for the AI, and then I'm going to insert a new module for me. Okay, format cells, mine. Okay, I'm going to keep these. I like that. I'm going to immediately get rid of this, and I'm just going to say equals selection. So what does that mean? Whatever I select gets highlighted. So let's just show that. And before I run this, let me delete row 1. Before I run this, I have to select something. There we go. Sorry, I was kind of blocking the screen here. Let me run this again for you. So we'll highlight here, and then we'll do a play, and there we go. So now whatever I highlight is going to be done. So that's the first change I'm making. The second change is I don't really need this. Okay, so I just need to get the selection. Then if the range is nothing, then say no range selected. I'm tempted to say if range is nothing or range, how do I say this? Range, can I say like dot length? I wonder what, let me just see something. I want to see if I only have one cell selected. So I'm going to just say debug.print len of RNG. Okay, let's do that. That should give me something. And if it's not that, I think I know what to put. I'm going to go ahead and do like a breakpoint there, which means it's not going to continue that line. Okay, so 0. So seems like, okay, what does it tell me if I run it now? Huh. So when I have one cell selected and I run it, I'm getting 0. But the moment I select more, it gives me an error. So I'm going to assume that it's not 0. So let's just go ahead and do this. Or len of RNG equals 0. Okay, so if I only have one cell selected, or if I have somehow no cells selected, I don't know how that's possible, but it's going to say we're exiting this sub. So let's just make sure that works. So again, I'm going to break point here just by clicking to the left here, and then I'm going to stop my function and make sure I have one cell selected, and we're going to press play. Okay, no range selected, exiting. There we go. That's doing what we want. Let's just make sure that it does the opposite. Let's highlight, I don't know, maybe those, and debug. Oh man, okay. Here's what we're going to do. So it looks like when I have more, let's just see what that does. Expecting an array. So we get this type mismatch because right now this is a range. Okay, the easy thing to do is on error, resume next. Interesting. Let's say. So what I'm doing here is I'm setting up a label. So I'm going to say go to continue. So it skips our if statement. Let's just go ahead and do that. Okay, that's working. Let's just make sure that I can still get away with my selecting one cell. Okay, I can. Okay. All right, so we've done that part. That was a little longer than I expected. Next, we're going to change this part, which is really the big part. We are going to. I wonder if we can loop through every row. I want to know what this does. So I'm going to say message box row dot. Let's see if I can get the address. I'm gonna just. Oh, it's mad that we didn't change that to next row. Okay, so I do need to get a couple things here. Okay, let's go ahead and run. I'm going to run it. Mine. So it's saying that our row address is C12. Okay, so that told me it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you call this. It's going to be the cell. So I was hoping that we could just say row, but we're going to say cell. But that's okay. We can deal with that. So for each cell and range, I don't really want to do each cell though. I'd like to do each row in the range, so I might need to figure out how to get into the row the best way. Give me a second. Okay, guys, welcome back. So I figured out how to do it. I did look it up, but then I think I remembered that you can just get dot rows from a range. And so we are going to, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to get the rows in the range, and that gives you, I don't know how to describe it, but we're going to go through each row and it actually gives you the address. So just to prove it, I'm going to stop this and press play. So see how it gives us C12 through E12, which is exactly what the first row is in our in what we've got. So which is perfect because that's exactly what we want. So now we're going to say now here's the question. I've never done this part before. We need to actually hit every individual cell in the row, but I don't want to loop through them, so I'm going to try and do it differently. So we're going to say maybe I can do it this way with row. I might be able to just hit it with the row. So let's go ahead and see if it'll break on me. Oh, that's good. It looks like it can do it. So it did these two things for me in the entire row. But now we're having a problem with setting the interior color of the cell. So we need to actually say row. I didn't change everything yet. That's my fault. And then this, we don't really need to count the cells anymore. Because now we're just going by row. So at the end of it, we're just saying, hey, row counter, add up. Add one to yourself. So, and then we're going to keep going around. So, there we go. I think we did it. That was a lot simpler than I thought it would be because it actually can blast a whole row with all of these things that the AI already did for us. So let's see how much quicker that will go. Let me add a new sheet. Okay, now I'm going to do it my way. I hope this is a lot quicker. I don't know. Oh yeah, that's right. We have to actually. Oh man, that's a lot longer. So let's do. I'm going to select it this way. So A1 through XFD 20,000. We'll just do the same thing as before. Okay, there we go. And then I come over and I run my script, and oh, please tell me it's not gonna. Okay, hold on. I need to somehow, oh no, what have I done? I left our message box in here. That is going to take 20,000 clicks. How do I like end this? Oh no. How do I stop this? Because when I hit escape, unfortunately, it ends my. Oh, we may have to like totally exit out of this. Oh no. This is not good. I'm like highly sad that that happened. Oh no, that was a huge mistake. Okay, so I'm gonna pause this video and we're gonna fix this and we'll come back to this spot. Okay, thank goodness for Google. If you've ever been in that predicament, that can get a little scary because you just wrote all this code and you didn't save it, and now you need to close Excel. Well, if you have a keyboard that has a pause or break button, you can hit Control Pause, and that's what Google told me to do, and it worked. Okay, so let's get rid of that. That was a very bad idea to have some kind of message inside of a huge loop. Let's go ahead and run this again. Okay, so we're gonna do A1 through XFD, which is like the last row, 20,000. Hit enter. There, we've selected everything. Now we're running it, and it is going. And I'll show you the cursor is going. I'm hoping this doesn't take near as long as the other one would have. Oh, there we go. It finished. I promise you that is a lot faster than the one from ChatGPT would have done it. So let's all pat ourselves on the back that we beat the computer. We beat the machine. So, and that's what I love about this. Though we have this great tool like ChatGPT, it really comes down to how creative are you. That's how you're going to stay competitive. And then here's what's even crazier. Let's take this as a final thing, and this is just to prove how cool this this thing is. We're going to say clean up my code. Let's see if it does anything differently. Okay, and we'll watch it go. Apologize, I'm all the way up. We want to see it writing. Okay, there we go. It's funny, it changed current row, which was its own thing. Okay, so it did throw back in that on error selection kind of deal. Okay, and so here it's, I guess because I didn't dim or didn't declare that, it chose to. So now we're going through every current row and we're alternating highlighting, increment our row counter, and we are done. And then I love this part, it even tells you what it did. So you can learn too. So you can be like, oh, next time I'm not gonna do that. Or, oh, I did mess that up. Okay, so, oh, look, it even took out this, like, problem that I had there. I told you it was kind of a dumb way of doing it, but it worked. Okay, so there's our optimized code. I can now go put this in, and together with the AI, we were able to come to a conclusion of really a better VBA macro that might work if I ever want to format something like a table, which you should never have to do because there's a really good button inside of Excel to do that. But there's a lot of things that you could use macros for. So with that, I think we're going to end this. It's getting a little bit longer, but if you stayed and watched all the way through, thanks for watching. And if you liked it, go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button.